listening to Cricket World Radio.
And this is Cricket World Around the World. Hello and welcome to Cricket World Around the World. I'm John Pennington. I'm joined by Jim White. Hello, Jim.
John, delighted to be here today.
Well, what a week it's been in the world of cricket. India beating Pakistan, Sri Lanka beating New Zealand. We're looking ahead to the World Cup final. We're going to be hearing from Chetan Narula a little bit later on in the show as well. But first, let's just reflect on those semi-finals. India and Sri Lanka into the finals. What did you make of it all, Jim?
Well, I think, to be fair, it's the two right teams in the final, John. There's been a up and down passage to an extent for both the teams. Have been, I think they've been saying about trying to peak at the right time. I think India have had their problems during the course of the tournament with the middle order. Yuvraj Singh's come to the fore and then got a first ball duck. So it really has been swings and roundabouts. And it'll just be interesting to see how the pitch affects the way they're going to play, I think, in the final, because there are elements to it which will make it not a very high scoring game, but you don't need a high scoring game to make an exciting game. I think we've seen too much cricket these more recent days where it's 350 and you've got to chase it down. Yes, everyone likes runs and wickets, but ultimately I think it's the battle that people are really quite keen on. Sri Lanka themselves yet to peak, or maybe they're peaking right now. They would be my tip. Should I be pressed for an answer? I just think they've got too much firepower, and I think the bowling is better suited.
The India-Pakistan semi-final was an interesting one. We were watching it, commentating on Cricket World Radio. Of course, we'll be back for the final, of course. But Pakistan dropped Sachin Tendulkar 4 times.
Not a good idea, John,
really
at
feel
any
like that
stage of his career, let alone in one innings.
No.
It really was quite extraordinary. There was a drop catches, potential stumping, although to be fair, Cameron Akmal was lightning quick, Tendulkar, despite falling almost out of his crease, was able to get his toe back on the ground. So made his ground there. But yes, I mean, some regulation chances, some difficult chances really, the two that Akmal was unlucky with as well, but you just can't give Tendulkar 1 or 2 chances and expect, really, you could just see the flow was going to go against them, and it made it such an uphill battle for Pakistan, who, I thought with a few overs ago, if Afridi started to swing the bat and connect, we know he can do that. If he had have done that, there was an outside chance, but it really was just an outside chance.
Okay, we're going to come back to the World Cup in a moment. I want to just talk about some other headlines making the news. A lot happening down in Australia. Michael Clarke has been appointed new Test and One-Day International captain. Ricky Ponting resigning but being picked to play in Bangladesh, which bucks a recent trend in Australia. Shane Watson as Australia's new vice-captain. Right move, right time for Ponting to step aside, do you think?
Yeah, I think I do. There's been a lot of pressure on him. Having said that, his last innings he scored 100. So as a player, there's no issue there. I think previously, as you were alluding to there, the other captains that have gone, it was the end of their career anyway. And as they were starting to wane, get out before you get pushed. And I think in this case, Ponting wouldn't have been pushed. I think if he decided to stay on, I think he still would have captained the side. I don't think they would have been sacked. Michael Clarke and Shane Watson are the natural successors. I think the combination is a good combination. I think Clarke's the right man to lead Australia. Having seen him fit in with all the previous Australian captains, and Shane Watson all rounder, heavily involved in the game, good thinker, a lot of experience there as well. It'll be a good combination. It's a really massive rebuilding time for Australia, and Clarke and Watson will have a lot to deal with going through that because of selection, up and coming players. We know that when a team's on a high, they may stay there for 5 or 10 years, but when they're not, where do you look? And who are the next generation of Aussie cricketers, young Aussie cricketers? I don't know how many there are at the moment, but there's definitely a few ones that are over 35.
So it's going to be interesting to see how that situation develops. Australia in Bangladesh, 3 one-day internationals on the 9th, the 11th and the 13th of this month. They'll be back in action pretty quickly after the World Cup ends. Also back in action, a lot of English players, county cricket gets underway, and a lot of England contracted players are going to be playing for the counties. That has to be good news.
It does. I think it'll raise the standard of cricket. I think it's important that the players that have gone on to international cricket bond with their counties. It's very easy, and there are some notable examples of cricketers that have only played international cricket, and if they turned up at their county ground, the probably people wouldn't know who they are, just because they've not been seen. I was told a story many years ago of an ex-England international who had a testimonial year and no one turned up because he never played for the county. So I think it's really important. It gives the counties a boost for attendances. I think it allows the young players looking up to see there is a pathway not only to county cricket but to international cricket, draw on their experiences. I think sometimes it's nice also for internationals to get away from the international pressure and actually, in a nice way, have a bit of fun with the counties and remember why they're there in the first place. Really important. Obviously, being local as well, it allows them to spend time with their families. Very hard during the course of the year. Of course, the pre-season this year has been interesting, where most of the counties have been in the sunshine for the last 4 to 6 weeks. So let's see how they get on with a few sweaters and long sleeves.
Sweaters and long sleeves, probably not going to be the order of the day in the Indian Premier League because that gets underway on the 8th of April. We've seen some signings. Kings 11 have signed Ryan McLaren, for example. A couple of new teams as well, Kochi and Pune. You looking forward to that tournament as well, Jim?
I am, John. I must say that the IPL itself is quite a phenomenon because it means there is so much cricket. We've been talking about the World Cup, we're talking about Australia, English county season, the Northern Hemisphere starts to play cricket once again. There is so much on. The IPL itself, it's the 4th time I think it's been held now, and it does give an opportunity for people to raise the bank balance. As far as standard cricket goes, it's a mixture. Yes, it's great to see close games of cricket and teams with stars of today playing, more often. I'm sure it'll be a great tournament. I just hope that the mixture of the amount of games before we get to the business end of the competition isn't as strung out as the World Cup in that sort of version of things with mismatches. I think it won't be because of the more teams are more evenly balanced with all the franchise and obviously welcoming 2 new teams that will provide a bit of spice and a little bit of new boy syndrome, so let's see how they get on.
And of course, a lot of, not new players, but players playing for new teams. Only sort of 10 or so retained by the original franchise. Everybody else was re-auctioned off, so it's going to be fascinating to see which sort of team gels first for me.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Sort of having a line-up really with, last one picked sort of idea. It's very interesting because it's really having an auction like that. Who wants who, and I don't want him, and we'll have him, and it really is. It's an interesting way of doing things. It's obviously all based around the finances and the structure of the whole tournament anyway. But yeah, well, we'll see. It's a bit of fun, isn't it? I think if it's kept like that, then no problems.
Certainly is. Well, let's just finish off our discussion on the World Cup. We're going to get predictions out. Do check out our Mr. Predictor video, but just if you haven't seen it, Jim, you're going to go for Sri Lanka.
I am going to go for Sri Lanka, John. I think they are just about to peak. They've got batting and bowling. I think Kumar Sangakkara, get it right. I'm going to put him down as man of the match as well, because I think it's his time to be a very strong captain, a good keeper, and particularly on turning wickets. I think there'll be opportunity for a few stumpings from his spin bowlers, and he may even get a 50 in the final as well. It'll be a good game, I think. India, they've done well. I'm sure it'll be a good game. I don't see it being Tendulkar's swan song.
Good stuff. Well, one man who I think he's definitely going to be cheering for an Indian victory from the press box is Chetan Narula, and I've been catching up with him regularly throughout the tournament. Here's the latest conversation I had with him in Mohali following that semi-final win over Pakistan.
Hi, John.
And you've witnessed another pulsating game. You must be absolutely delighted.
Well, I'm not the only one who's delighted. It's the entire city that's out on the streets, and I can pretty much assure you that's the case with every Indian city today. News pouring in all over from Delhi, from Mumbai, from Bangalore, from every nook and corner of this country, that people are all over the streets. They're dancing around there, just moving around their vehicles. Songs are at full blast. The party has just started. And probably the party will continue till late night on Saturday.
And let's just sort of focus on the game. What were the sort of key moments for you? I mean, Sachin Tendulkar was dropped several times. Pakistan really struggled against India's spinners. Would you pick out those as key moments, or was there something else that really caught your eye at the ground?
I think the biggest factor, of course, was Pakistan's fielding. I wouldn't just say that dropping Sachin Tendulkar. I think their overall fielding, fielding not just the catching part, or I think also the fielding in the outfield, when saving boundaries. I think they leaked too many boundaries, too many misfields there. Of course, dropping Sachin on 20, then 40, then 60, and then finally carrying him out on 80. So too many chances there, too many runs scored by Sachin. too many extra runs scored. So if a target of 220 would have been very optimum for Pakistan to chase down, the batting is not a very strong point. I thought another big turning point was Mohammad Hafiz getting out. The Indian fielding was up a couple of levels from the recent matches that we have seen, and it was increasing the pressure on the Pakistani batsmen. I think Dhoni was superb with his captaincy, with his bowling changes. India was superb in the field as compared to Pakistan. And despite Wahab Riyaz getting 5 wickets and no Indian bowler getting 5 wickets, I think it was more of a collective effort from the Indian bowlers and fielders than it was from the Pakistan bowlers and fielders. And I think that was the crucial difference between both sides.
Yes, so you mentioned collective effort. 5 bowlers used by India, and all of them took 2 wickets. I don't know whether you got the same impression as I did from the ground, but certainly watching on TV, I always thought from quite a long way out that Pakistan weren't gonna get there. Did you get that sense, or was it a bit more tense at the ground?
Well, when it began very normally for Pakistan. They were getting the boundaries with ease. People thought that 260 is not a huge total. It's just about a competitive enough total. But again, as I said, I think the turning point came with the dismissal of Mohammad Hafiz. And then Yuvraj Singh came on, got those 2 quick wickets. He got Asad Shafiq and Yunus Khan in his consecutive overs. That was the real turning moment of the game. From there on, India got on their grip and never really lost their way. And once Umar Akmal was out, he tried to release some pressure. But I think Umar Akmal was their biggest hope because he's the one batsman who looks good against every attack. He can use the batting power play. He can defend when it's necessary. And as we saw, he released a lot of pressure by hitting those sixes of Yuvraj Singh. But when he got out and there was still around 100 runs left, I think the tide had turned against Pakistan at that time. And 260 suddenly started looking like a huge total, when 100 runs are remaining. And there's a lot of pressure increasing. The crowd was up on their feet. 5 wickets already down for just 142. So, the pressure increases, and India-Pakistan is just more in a World Cup semi-final, in an Indian ground in front of 30,000 Indian fans is more than just a cricket match. And I think the pressure at the end got to Pakistan batsmen.
And so your World Cup journey is almost at an end. You're going to be at the final in Mumbai on Saturday. You must be really looking forward to what could be another classic encounter between India and Sri Lanka.
Well, yes, I'll be travelling to Delhi first from Mohali, then onwards to Mumbai, and I'm very, very thrilled to be given this opportunity, and to be present at that ground where history is going to be created. Sachin Tendulkar on the verge of getting 100 hundreds. Nothing better if he does it on his home ground. Sri Lanka looking for a second World Cup win. It's their second consecutive World Cup final, the third overall. Same statistics for India. They're looking for their second World Cup victory, their third final as well. And Mahendra Singh Dhoni looking to top up his collective achievements. He's won the IPL, the Champions League T20, the T20 World Cup. India are the number 1 test side in the world. They are on the verge of becoming the number 1 test ODI side in the world if they win. And of course, the ultimate prize, the World Cup. It's going to be a fascinating evening's cricket in Mumbai on Saturday. India versus Sri Lanka for the final.
And we're all very much looking forward to it here as well. And enjoy the game, and we'll speak to you afterwards.
Yes, surely speak to you on Saturday night from Mumbai, John.
Chetan Narula joining me from Mohali there. Listen out for his final Cricket World at the World Cup podcast from the final in Mumbai. Now, to finish this week's show, time for the ICC Cricket World Radio Show. Listen out here for big interviews with Gary Kirsten, Tom Moody and Ramiz Raja.
The De Ghumake fever has gripped the cricket world with a sensational run towards the last leg of the ICC World Cup 2011. Yes, we've got our 2 finalists now. It is India and Sri Lanka who will take on each other in the grand finale of the ICC World Cup 2011. And in anticipation of a cracker of a final, we bring to you yet another episode of ICC Cricket World. I'm Manish Batavia, and we've got lots lined up for you in the next 15 minutes. First, we'll hear from former Australia cricketer who is also a former Sri Lankan coach and now commentator Tom Moody's thoughts on Sri Lanka's win over New Zealand in the first semi-final of the 2011 World Cup. We'll also hear from former Pakistan captain Ramiz Raja's thoughts on India's sensational win over Pakistan in the second semi-final at Mohali on Wednesday, and we'll hear from India coach Gary Kirsten as he gets set for his last game with the Indian team, the big final of the ICC World Cup 2011. Yes, we are just 2 days away from crowning the champions of the 2011 World Cup, But it was the 1996 champions Sri Lanka who booked their ticket to the finals in Mumbai with a 5-wicket win over perennial World Cup semi-finalists New Zealand. Batting first, New Zealand managed a lowly 217 all-out in just under 49 overs, and in reply Sri Lanka eased home with 5 wickets in hand as Tilakaratne Dilshan top-scored with 73 and captain Sangakkara scoring an impressive half-century. Our correspondent in Sri Lanka, Jatin Sapru, caught up with former Sri Lankan coach Tom Moody after that game. Have a listen.
Tom, thank you so much for joining us here. Sri Lanka marching into the finals and in style. Do you reckon they really have been the team who've played with a lot of sense in the tournament and have read the conditions at the best?
Yeah, look, they've played very well. They've got a very good all-round side. They've batted very well at the top of the order. They've got a good blend for their bowling attack. They've got obviously spin, which is their strength, but they've also got the likes of Malinga, who can be very effective with a new ball but also devastating with the old ball. To me, they're a very well organised outfit, very well led by Kumar Sangakkara and supported by Mahela Jayawardene as his vice-captain. So to me, the time's right for Sri Lanka. They're as good a team as they've ever been going into a World Cup, and I think they're in good shape to go all the way.
Back-to-back finals for Sri Lanka. Last time they ran into Australia on a bad day. What are the changes in this side? I'm not talking about the personnel, but any change in attitude or the talent that they have to offer in the final?
Yeah, look, I think this side's probably a better balanced side and more experience. There's a number of players that are playing in this side that experienced the 2007 World Cup, so they've been on the journey already of going through the qualifying stages and making a final, and that has got a lot of weight. That carries a lot of weight, so there's a lot of experience there, and they've got form. They've got players that are in form. Their top 3 batsmen are in terrific form. Mahela Jayawardene has also got 100 in this tournament, so he's in form at number 4. The only area that hasn't been tested is their middle order, purely because their top orders played so well. And as I touched on, their bowling has a great deal of variety, so Kumar Sangakkara can shuffle his bowlers around at will and try to create opportunities.
But do you reckon now that they head to Mumbai, where they've already played a game against New Zealand, is it likely that they'll carry on with their approach of 3 spinners, or could they perhaps get Nuwan Kulusekara, who's a big match player, back for the finals?
Yeah, look, I think it depends very much on the on the conditions there. The wicket, you have to see the wicket. The wicket does turn there, so it wouldn't surprise me to see them stick to the same balance, but they've got the luxury of having Kulusekara in the wings. If they feel, the need to play another medium pacer, they've got that ability. And we also got to bear in mind, Angelo Matthews has limped off the field, and is he going to be available for the World Cup final is the question mark. So, who's going to replace his overs?
That interview was of course done right after that game as Sri Lanka waited on who they would face in the World Cup finals in Mumbai. And on Wednesday, all roads led to Mohali in Chandigarh, where in a dream World Cup semi-final matchup, India took on Pakistan. And it was pre-tournament favourites India who prevailed in the end in what was the most talked about contest of all time. Shahid Afridi's Pakistan fell short of India's total of 260 by 29 runs, giving India a ticket to the World Cup finals in Mumbai, where they will take on the 1996 World Cup champions Sri Lanka. Our correspondent in Mohali, Gautam Bhimani, caught up with former Pakistan captain Ramiz Raja after that game.
I've got Ramiz Raja with me to wrap up another exciting India-Pakistan clash. From a Pakistan perspective, what went wrong?
I think tactically they were extremely poor. I thought they missed the trick by not using the batting power play. I thought they bowled really well. They came back very strongly after dropping so many catches. 260 was a chaseable target. And I maintained during the break that it was Pakistan's game to lose, in fact, because but unfortunately, nothing clicked. Hafiz played a bad shot. Misbah-ul Haq never got going. Yunus Khan got stuck. Umar Akmal promised for a little while, and then he also surrendered to the pressure of the Indians. India bowled extremely well. I thought they read the pitch beautifully. They slowed up the pace, bowled leg cutters, and so overall a very convincing performance.
If you had to assess it, how much of it was India winning the game or how much was Pakistan giving it away to them?
I think a bit of both. I think Pakistan fielded better, it could have been a lot better for them. If they'd batted more purposefully, I don't know what Misbah Haq was trying to do out there, and what Afridi and Abdul Razak did. Their role has not been well defined. During batting power plays, you've got to use them. And somehow the other Pakistan missed the trick. But credit to India also for really creating that situation for Pakistan.
Final question, Ramesh Bhai. As a neutral now, the other two subcontinent teams in the final, who is your money on and why?
India, of course, because they've got a better side. They've got a great leader in Dhoni. And they're playing in Mumbai at home. So big advantage with India, but they deserve to win also.
Many congratulations to India for that mega final in Mumbai. That game will also be India coach Gary Kirsten's last game with the team as he ends what has been a terrific term with Team India. Gautam Bhimani caught up with a thrilled Gary Kirsten after that superb semi-final win over Pakistan.
Well, at the end of another hectic game between India and Pakistan, a lot of happy Indians here, but one very happy South African as well. Who else but Gary Kirsten? Somehow the Indians can be a bit biased, but sitting there at an India-Pakistan clash should be happy with the outcome.
Absolutely. It was a great performance by the team. We had two really good ones now and closed the game out with the bat against Australia and now with the ball against Pakistan. So very happy with the way the guys played.
Now, from your perspective as a South African but as coach of India, what does an India-Pakistan clash mean to you? Because obviously to Indians it's something totally at a different level.
Well, I've had 3 years with the team now, so I've got a taste of the odd game that we played against them, and I know that it's fired up, and that the players don't need any added motivation. They go on the field ready to go and try win. So I was very happy with the space we were in this morning. The guys were in a good, really determined space, but at the same time nice and calm.
And as far as the batting went, not the most convincing batting display, but you take the 260 and Sachin, you take the 84 despite being a bit scratchy.
Yeah, I thought we got a bit lucky with a couple of drop catches, but I thought we did really well. Suresh Raina batted well at the end to get us to 260, and I thought 260, very competitive score on this wicket. It looked like it was more and more difficult to bat as the ball got older, and all credit to the bowlers. They identified that early on, and they knew that taking some pace off the ball is going to make a real difference. And bowl, especially Ashish Nehra and Munaf Patel, bowled exceptionally well.
Yes, a lot of people in the crowd at least were asking questions. Why no Ashwin? But obviously you answered the question.
Yeah, I think we all thought that it would probably be better to go the three seamers on this wicket, and great credit to Ashish Nehra. He hasn't had much game time, but he's got a real belief in his own ability, and he came in a pressure game and without much game time and delivered the goods.
Now, Gary, looking ahead to Mumbai World Cup final, personally your last game with India for the moment, very tempting to stay on if you go on and win, isn't it?
This is my last game, and it'll be just a great occasion for everyone. It's been, as I've said many times, an absolute honour and a privilege to be with this Indian team. The players have been fantastic. They're playing exceptional cricket at the moment, and we put it together the way we like to. We've got the skill, I know, to win this thing, but we're playing against a very good team, so we're going to have to be on top of things.
Well, we know you like to stay in the background, but thank you for your time and good luck for the final.
Thank you very much.
The world is waiting with bated breath for that India versus Sri Lanka final. And in our post-World Cup half-hour special episode of ICC Cricket World, we'll get you a comprehensive look back at the ICC World Cup 2011, and we'll also look at the overall standings on the Reliance Mobile ICC rankings, but that's next week. For now, the clock is ticking as the Wankhede Stadium in Mumbai readies itself for a game that shall script a brand new chapter in one-day international cricket's glorious history. It is the 1983 World Cup champions versus the 1996 World Cup champions. India versus Sri Lanka, a billion and more Indian hopes versus the aspirations of the genteel Sri Lankan fans. Before we wrap up, just a reminder to all of you, don't forget to catch a mega World Cup special episode of the TV version of ICC Cricket World. Also remember to log on to icc-cricket.yahoo.net for all that you wish to know about the ICC World Cup 2011. For the moment, from me, Manish Batavia, and the rest of the team here at ICC Cricket World, with all our best wishes to India and Sri Lanka for that mega final in Mumbai, it's goodbye.